Recently I was looking through my Steam games and noticed I didn't have the achievement for completing all the gold medal challenges in Portal, which involves beating 6 chambers 3 different ways, with the least portals, the least amount of time, and the least steps. A few years ago I got all of them on the console version of Portal, so I wanted to see how hard it would be to complete them again. I decided to start off with doing the least portals since I remember it being the easiest. You start off in Chamber 13, where the trick is to throw the cube to the second button. I struggled with getting the cube to the button for a while, but then realized I needed to click with my mouse to throw it instead of pressing E. Chamber 14 is probably the easiest chamber for the challenges. You just need the portal at the base of the lift and launch yourself onto it, all 3 of the challenges. I started off by doing the speedier strat of portal into the drop, but then when I got to the end of the chamber, I realized I was 1 portal over the gold limit, and I couldn't just portal over the drop. I had to walk over to save that 1 portal. This is where I first ran into the issue of not having portal tunneling on. Portal tunneling is where the portals pull you into them, so you don't have to aim into them. But I must have disabled it in the past and didn't realize it was an option until I googled it while editing this video. This would make some of the future parts of the achievement a lot harder later in the video. But I eventually made it up the lift and completed another chamber. Test Chamber 15 starts off with a smart portal placement on the checkered floor, so you can fall right into it and get launched. The next part of the level is done normally, getting the energy ball to its home, and then launching yourself to the next section. I do mess up at first, but get it the second time. Now here's where you use a speedrun strat to skip a section, by peeking halfway through a portal and shooting another one to progress through this tunnel. I messed up a few times, fell into the liquid below, but I finally got to the last section, where you need to jump into a portal and get up the lift without doing the puzzle that you're supposed to do in the room. After a few attempts, I finally got up and got another gold medal. When it comes to Chamber 16, you don't need to use portals until the end, since you can just run through everything. I tried using a turret as a shield without much luck. But then I got to the cubes, which you can use to block turrets from shooting you. And then in the bottom room, I inched my way forward with 2 cubes to knock over the turrets, before using my 2 allowed portals to get to the end of the level. Test Chamber 17 is the second easiest chamber after 14. First you grab your faithful companion cube, and make it to the window, where you can see the end of the level. Here I did a portal bump glitch where you shoot at a portal placed on the floor next to the wall, until your other portal goes onto the other side of the wall. After that, I incinerated my best friend, Companion Cube, for the first time of the day. The last test chamber is the longest of the chambers to complete. Starting off, I remember there's a small sliver of ceiling to shoot with the portal gun to skip a platform. Then I remember there was a strat to go up on this part with a sticking out panel, but I couldn't remember exactly what you were supposed to do, so I just went back into the level normally. I then missed a simple jump multiple times in a row, before finally getting it. I made it over to where the camera was that you need to use to jam into a door to skip a full section. After grabbing the camera, I realized I needed to jump back for the portal that you use to get the camera off the wall. Otherwise, you have to use a portal to get over to the other side. Once I got to the door, I placed the camera so that it would get stuck in the door after I pressed the button. By the time I got to the door though, it had shut to the point where I couldn't put a portal through it, so I had to reset. The next time I got the door to stay open when I got over there, and got to the next section, that you play like you normally would in the game, but without portal tunneling, I kept missing my portals over and over again. I finally got to the end of the level, where I was 2 portals over the limit anyways, after all the trouble I went through, and had to fully reset. This time I remember to use the stuck out panel to skip a portal placement, and made my way through the level. Missing the camera skip once before making it to the end and completing the gold medals for least portals. The least time gold medals were the easiest for me to get, since you basically just do the same stuff you do in least portals, just faster. Chamber 13 I got on my first try even though it was really sloppy. And instead of throwing the cube, I jumped over to the button, since I no longer had to worry about how many portals I used. Chamber 14, I could now portal over to the drop. And after one miss, I got up on the elevator and completed another chamber. In Chamber 15, I ran through the level doing it normally, just with some speed. And then again did the peek and portal strat, that I still messed up, but I got over to the next section. In the next area, for some reason, I rode the elevator all the way up, even though the medal calls for speed, and then I missed my jump anyways. On my next attempt, I realized I had a portal gun, and portaled up to the top instead of taking the elevator. Then I took a long time to actually make the jump up the lift. Eventually I made it, but was 1 second over the limit for gold. Since my save was close enough though, I optimized how fast I got up the lift, and finished the chamber 1 second early. In the next test chamber, you can portal bump again like I did in the companion cube level to skip over GLaDOS talking, and then ran through the level, portaling ahead whenever I could, using the cube to run at turrets and knock them over, and finishing up the level with 7 seconds to spare easily. Chamber 17, I did exactly how I did it with the least portals, by portal bumping to the end, and then incinerated my best friend for the second time of the day. Chamber 18 gave me the most trouble because of how long I took to get the camera to stick into the door. Then, after I got to the next section, I kept missing the portals without portal funneling on again. And once I got to the end, I was 15 whole seconds over the limit. So I had to go back and optimize how I got the camera into the door. And again, when I got to the end, I was 5 seconds over the limit and had to restart one last time, where I finally got the camera into the door in a reasonable time and finished the level with 7 seconds to spare. The least steps medals are ones a lot of people consider the hardest to get, but I actually kind of like getting them when I got them back in the day. Any movement you make counts as a step, so you have to restart over and over again while trying to optimize everything you do. Almost every chamber starts off with jumping into a portal that you place right in front of the elevator to move forward. At the beginning of Chamber 13, I got a little disoriented, but I eventually got where I needed to go. Once there, I grabbed a cube from a portal I placed on the floor. Then I shot a portal through the door above the button in the next room, and then portaled below myself, and immediately after portaling I grabbed the cube to bring it with me. In the next room I threw the cube onto the floor below so I could portal under it to get it onto the button next to me. After that, you portal as close as you can to the end of the level, and then crouch jump your way to the end. Crouch jumping is the best way to get around if you can't portal, since it takes much less steps than walking. Chamber 14 is again the easiest chamber, but at the beginning I kept messing up the first jump into the portal and had to keep restarting. When I did finally get over to the other side, I kept missing the portal again due to no portal funneling, and then realized that I was too far away from the lift to make the jump anyways, so I fully reset to get closer. The first time I got up the lift, I didn't crouch jump to the elevator and missed the goal. The next time I got up, I did some sloppy crouch jumping and missed the goal again. But the third time I got up, I was able to crouch jump my way up there effectively, with 1 step to spare. Chamber 15 isn't too hard. It's just pretty long. The first time I went through the level I was lazy, and didn't use my portals much to avoid stepping. At the end, I had a pretty hard time getting up the lift, and I missed the jump a few times, or got stuck on the geometry, which caused me to go over the step limit. When I got to the elevator a few times, I realized I couldn't get the gold medal from my last save without going over the step limit, no matter how well I played, so I had to fully reset from the beginning. The next time I got to the end of the level, I realized I was in the same situation and had to fully reset again. So the third time I went through the level, I played it a lot safer and portaled under myself more than usual, so that when I got to the end of the level, I didn't even need a crouch jump to make it into the elevator. In Chamber 16 you want to avoid getting shot, since the bullets push you and every time you get pushed it counts as a step. So I safely made my way to the part where for the first time of the day I used cubes to knock over the turrets instead of just running at them to knock them over. After that I dropped down in front of this turret and quickly tossed it away before it could shoot me. From there I set up these cubes so I could drop them on the turrets in the next room, but realized I only needed 1 cube because I could drop 1 turret on the other one, so I did that instead. When I dropped a cube on the last turret, it shot me through the portal that I used to drop a cube on it, and gave me a step, so I reset just to be safe. The next time I made sure to move my portal before I could get shot again. I then tried to fall on the button to save a step, but had to just walk onto it. And from there I could portal to the end of the level, where I decided to throw the last turret, that miraculously missed shooting me as it rolled around. I made it to the end of the level with 2 steps to spare. Chamber 17 was pretty easy to pull off again. I crouch jumped through the whole level to the portal bump that skips everything, and then incinerated my friend for the last time of the day. I finished the level with a whole 19 steps to spare. Finally, at Chamber 18, I made my way through it the same way as I did with least portals, by portal into the sliver of ceiling, and making my way to the camera. My first attempt at the camera, I was shot dead after fumbling my portal placement, but I got it on my second attempt, and from there it took me a pretty long time to get the camera into the door, since it kept shooting out. When I did get it to stay in the door, I spent so long bungling around that by the time I could get to the door, the camera was nowhere to be seen, and the door was shut. After many more attempts, I got the door to stick again, but accidentally launched myself off the map. I then spent forever trying to get the portal stuck again, before I was finally able to make it to the door with a sliver of it open to portal over to the other side. From there I had trouble with my camera getting stuck looking at the ceiling a few times, but eventually made it to the end, where I had actually beaten the gold limit by 29 steps. So now I had all the achievements in Portal on Steam, after having owned it for over 10 years, and could add it to my collection of perfected games. Overall, it took me just under 2 hours to get all the gold medals, and I'd say it isn't that hard of a challenge, and actually pretty fun. Only a little frustrating if you do it without Portal funneling on, like I accidentally did. Thanks for watching.